What about this idea that there are many ways? Well, can't there be many ways to God? Now, I think this suffers the same problem I just went through, but let me say some other things about this idea of religious pluralism. This is the idea that all religions are each, in their own terms, legitimate roads to God, okay? And so all roads lead to Rome. All roads lead to God. God has somehow ordained various paths for various people in various cultures. Therefore, no one is within their rights to say that one religion is better than another religion, okay? You can't say that Christianity is true over and against Islam or Judaism or Buddhism or Hinduism. No. All these ways are equally valid if religious pluralism is true. Jesus may be the path for Christians, but he's not the path for other world religions, okay? Does everyone kind of understand religious pluralism? The idea we're all on a path going to the top of a mountain. Now, how this is normally described, I was actually in a Hindu temple. We took a class, a high school class, to a Hindu temple, a Buddhist temple, all different world religions. We went to all their different worship centers. And this was the analogy that the Hindu leader gave to us. He said this. He said there's a story of the blind man and the elephant. It's an ancient fable that there's 6 blind men who visit the palace of a ruler. The Raja is what he's called. And they encounter this elephant for the first time. They've never seen an elephant before. They're blind. They haven't seen anything before. And so they're going to touch the elephant and announce their discovery. Okay? Announce their discovery. So the first blind man, he comes up to the elephant. He touches its side and he says, wow, this is smooth. An elephant is like a wall. Okay? An elephant's just like a wall. The second blind man, he comes up, touches the elephant on the trunk, and he says, this is round. It's like a snake. An elephant is just like a snake. The third blind man, he reaches out his hand, touches the tusk, and he says, how sharp. An elephant is like a spear. The fourth blind man, he puts out his hand, and he touches the leg, and he says, how tall. An elephant is like a tree. The fifth blind man, he reaches out his hand and touches the ear of the elephant, and he says, how wide. An elephant is like a fan. And then finally, the sixth blind man, he reaches out his hand, touches the tail of the elephant, and he says, how thin. An elephant is like a rope. Okay, so you can see, they all got their ideas of what an elephant is like. Now, notice each blind man thinks his own perception of the elephant is the correct one. Each man thinks he's got the right view. But next in the story, the Raja, the ruler, he awakens from the commotion and he calls out from the balcony. And he says, an elephant is a big animal. Each of you is touching only one part of the elephant. You must put all the parts together to find out what an elephant is really like. Okay? You got to put all the parts together. You only have a part of the truth. An elephant is much bigger than that. This fable is often used to illustrate that every faith, every religion represents one part of a larger truth about God. Okay? Each religious tradition has only one piece of the truth, ultimately leading to God by different routes. And so the Jew has their piece, and the Muslim has their piece, and the Muslim has their piece, and so on. The Christian likewise has their piece. And so how do we respond to something like this? How do we respond to something like this? Well, first, the religious pluralist, their claim is also a religious claim, is a point of view about religion. And their claim is to have more than just a piece of the truth. It's very interesting. Everyone in the story has just a piece, right? They're just blind men feeling around and they have a piece of the truth. But who in the story is represented by the religious pluralist? Well, that's the Raja. The Christian, the Muslim, the Buddhist, the Hindu, they're the blind people. In the story, the Raja, who looks at everything and can see the big picture, that's where the religious pluralist is. So they don't actually apply the claim to themselves. They aren't ones who just have a piece of the truth. They've excluded themselves to this. They're the ones looking out and saying, no, I actually see what God's like. You get what I'm saying? So they aren't just like, they don't have a piece of God. No, they're the ones saying, I can actually see the whole thing. You guys are all wrong, or you're all right in one sense, and you're getting there. So that's the first thing I would say. All religions have just part of the truth, except for the religious pluralists. They think they got the whole truth. Second, the religious pluralists, they presume that Christians reject pluralism because they lack exposure or knowledge about other beliefs. Just as the blind men have erred because they've only explored part of the elephant, well, each religion errs because it's only explored part of God. And if the Christian would just come over and hang out with their Muslim friend and go to the Muslim temple, well, they would see, hey, they have the truth too. And if they hung out with the Hindu, well, they'd see they got the truth too. And so it's you Christians, you're exclusive because you're ignorant. You don't really see the big picture. So are Christians just uninformed? I would say no. This is not the case. Christians reject pluralism in part because significant elements of different religions contradict each other. And to show this, I want to ask you a question. Now, you can't answer the question if you actually have seen my car, okay? So I drove here today in a car. It's parked in the parking lot. I want to ask you, what does my car look like? I'm going to get 2 volunteers. You can't ask you. You're related to me. Who wants to volunteer? Tell me what my car looks like. Looking at me, this handsome young man. What kind of car do I drive? What do you think? Oh, a truck. See, he could see my rugged side. What kind of truck? A Ford? What color? Blue. A blue Ford truck. Not bad. That's a good guess. That's actually a great guess. I need one more, though. Nobody wants to. Do you know what I actually drive? Okay, hit me with it. And don't say a Prius. Don't say a hybrid. A minivan. That is an insult. I will never drive a minivan. I don't care if I have 10 kids. And we just may, right? A minivan. What color? Oh. Well, it's better than beige. I thought you were going to say beige minivan. Okay, so why are we talking about what I drive? Because it is clear, it should be clear to everyone in the room that I can't, assuming I only own one car, it can't be a blue Ford truck and a white minivan. What kind of minivan? At least give me a Toyota or something. Caravan. Okay. So the worst possible van. It can't. No offense. This is a gosticle here. So it can't be both. Every rational thinking person in the room should agree it can't be both. It's either white or it's not white. It's either white or it's blue or it's neither, right? Could be neither. In fact, you were right about the white. That is an SUV, not a van, just so we're clear, and can hold 7 passengers. So we got room for 2 more babies, right? Yeah. So, but here's the point. when we apply it to everyday things like the car that we drive, we can see that this is just illogical. It's irrational, okay, to say, because these are contradictory claims. And yet when we survey the different religions out there, we see that they too make contradictory claims, okay? For example, Islam teaches that Jesus is not the Son of God, okay? Jesus is not the Son of God. Christianity teaches that that Jesus is the Son of God, okay? He can't be the Son of God and not be the Son of God in the same sense, in the same way. This would violate the law of non-contradiction, okay? Both cannot be true. The notion that Christianity and Islam are somehow equally true, when someone says that, that is blatantly false because it is contradictory. It's like affirming a square circle, okay? In sum, we reject religious pluralism not because of what we don't know about other religions, but because of what we do know about other religions. In fact, when you start to study the different world religions, you see that they are more contradictory than they are compatible. The laws of logic demand that pluralism is false. And you could do this with any of their claims. Like, what happens when we die? Some religions say you go to heaven. Some say you go to heaven or hell. Others teach reincarnation. Some say there's no afterlife. Some say you're annihilated. But listen, you can't do all of those things at the same time and in the same way, right? Either you go to heaven, or you are annihilated, or you cease to exist, or you are reincarnated, okay? They can't all be true. And for someone to make such a claim, I mean, they are just mistaken. Now, when you talk to someone who believes in pluralism, religious pluralism, they'll often give you something like this. They'll often say, well, look at the golden rule. Look at the golden rule. Do unto others. All the world religions have some kind of teaching that relates to this. Now, some of these are a stretch if you could read them. But let's just grant it. Let's say, yeah, they all have the golden rule in their religious system. Still, this wouldn't help because profound contradictions between foundational beliefs, they don't simply disappear by pointing out some shared moral proverb, okay? You still have to deal with the contradictions. And so religious pluralism, I think, is patently false.